This is a reading for my friend Hannah. She asked me about pinkness, and I'm responding by reading the SubGeniUS Cyclopedia of Slack the Bibliographon, Chapter 5, SubGeniUS versus Them, which has in bright bold typeface, "Shut up, pink boy," right underneath some quotes. These are the quotes. By the time things are the way they are, it is too late to do anything about them. That's Nenslow in 62. You'll pry my cold dead fingers out of my other cold dead fingers. Bob to Senator Clayton Hinckley, 1979 subcommittee hearings. I'm not the kind of person I'm preaching to, and neither are you, I hope. Reverend Ivan Stang, 1986, inducting initiates in Dobbstown. I'm an advocate of freedom from speech. Dobbs, 86, on the religious duty of annoying initiates in Dobbstown. Who knows what rough beast slouching toward rebirth in the hearts of men can do for your country? Jack Shade, Leak News Service. If it's legal, it's not free. If it's free, it's not legal. Dobbs, 1956, at a Hollywood party. Question authority. Just don't question your wife, says Princess We Are Doe, queen of all the UFOs. I spout jingo and I vote. Bob, for president, campaign, 1974. Stop right now. Shut up, pink boy. Too many would-be zealots are still laboring under the impression that this in some kind of parody of kook religions, while perhaps having properly grasped the full implications of the faith in Bob, some are yet prey to all manner of misconceptions about other basic SubGeniUS doctrine. For instance, an otherwise ascended SubGenius may understand the serious nature of, say, excremeditation, yet still think that the concept of ecu-beating is simply a joke thrown in to confuse conspiracy censors. And there is no estimating how many rogue SubGeniuses still do not believe in Bob at all. So let's talk plain, raw truth. Bob lives. Alien beings are all around us, watching our every move. There is a conspiracy of unimaginable proportions, working solely to rob you of your very abnormality. The president, is a Bolshevik clone. Russian, nevertheless, has been taken over by demon-possessed Christians. Utter stupidity can make you rich. Your own evil ghost twin is standing beside you right now. There is a hollow earth which holds an advanced race of super creatures and humans from before the Ice Age, long before the history of man, and they have to be stopped. Then this is just the surface, the tip of the iceberg. One drop in the billion buckets of the blood of SubGeniUS martyrs everywhere. By 1998, the real 1998, the world itself is not in Bob's hands. If a world state steering committee composed entirely of SubGeniuses is not on hand to intercept the gifts of the angelic host from Planet X when they arise in that year, then there will hardly be any reason at all for the immortality drug riots that we know will be erupting about then. Fighting and killing to get the elixir of longevity will hardly seem worth it. You won't want to live 2 more years, much less forever. Of course, this generation may be remembered as the one that didn't quite make it. We don't know whether we'll get a chance to enjoy the immortality drugs or not. But our children will, and if they don't kill each other fighting over it for their sake, for their precious, innocent, pink hearts, the Church of the SubGeniUS must take its rightful place as the one world religion foretold in the Bible. When the X's finally come up from the skies, the ones who must transform into overmen must be SubGeniuses, so you can kiss your sweet assurance of sanity goodbye. So shut up and listen. Listen and look for yourself. You don't even need to translate the writing on the wall. What's going on is very grotesquely obvious to even the most subjugated idiot. Face it, it's all falling apart. The plan failed. The 60s didn't work at all. They were just a kind of decoy to make us think everything would get solved eventually. Sure, they made everyone hip. A lot of hornets' nests got stirred up. The liberals and modernists got their turn on the soapbox. The almost exposed peni and jumping bosoms of the underwear-wearing, shunning hep ones made their more uptight normals spin around to be faced with a mirror image anti-world of their own repressions. We had a whole new breed of moderately long-haired people in the 70s, a whitewashed promiscuous breed that reduced the boiling point of the 60s to a low simmer, a simmer which, thanks to the conspiracy that had those soon-to-be disco dipshits under control from the word go, will soon lurch once again into a far more complicated, far less controllable civil war between normals and abnormals. Yes, cults are breeding. Everyone is bored with being tolerant. The hate is hungry. It must be fed. Maybe the slackless people in the horrible grip of the conspiracy work instinct can't win. But, by God, they can sure find an outlet for resentment by seeking out the few others like them, a cult not necessarily of religion, but of rather work or diet or music or self-help. You can always find something to be a member of, as long as it's small enough and large enough that it has not too much and yet not too little in common with the common man. I'm gonna record some more.
Getting another phone is just to be like...
So that little interruption was a phone call, and I correctly picked the random accent of the dude. He got at my bar. I was looking for my buddy. At my bar. So, that just threw me off my train of thought. Okay. I'll get right back after this break. And we're back. Where was I? And you can always find something to be a member of as long as it's small enough and a large enough group that it has not too much and yet not too little in common with the common man. Canned guilt over unhip sex-race gods' thoughts can be neatly shelved by pride over doing your own thing, some particularly obsessive brain hobby, but some cool individuality is a big sham. What most people ended up with after the 60s wasn't liberation. It was just a deep personal hole burrowed for privacy during the blindly hopeful, phenomenally peaceful, PG-rated reign of the healthy mediocritans. Now it's the future. Now! That was Reverend Stang, 1980, Stark Fist of Removal, number 39, volume 17. Now it's decades later, and everything has deteriorated on schedule. We know the enemy far better, and how you can recognize him. It's anybody who says that you must be part of their clique, or their clench, or their church, or their country, or their species, or their planet, in order to have slack. Anybody, that is, except us. For we alone bear the true knowledge of ultimate secret of the true truth. No matter our age, gender, education, weight, gullibility, or number of sex organs or personalities, our very deepest subconscious memories are shared in common. And what they collectively tell us isn't pretty. In fact, it's enough to make you want to turn your stomach inside out again. We pay the conspiracy to take our money away. That's their job. That's what the conspiracy is. It's not so much that they rule over us, it's that we live, breathe, and eat the conspiracy. It is what we live in. The conspiracy is the fishbowl and the water we swim in. They don't consciously take our slack away. They trample slack without ever knowing of its existence. But this will in fact lead to their downfall. Even the unthinking 10,000-year war on slack must grind to a halt when, thanks to their slack ignorance, the world economy finally caves in on itself. The free world is grossly overpriced. There's really only one airline left, but that's okay with them because they own it. There's really only one publisher left, but that's okay because they own it. Only one TV network left, only one internet provider, only one actual political party, but that's all okay because they own it. Everything is under control. Right. The craziest 1890s steam engine train engineer in the world is at the helm of Spaceship Earth. Our whole planetary vehicle is careening out of control with drunken madmen at the wheel, and none of them are Bob. What then is to be our destination? The moon? The future? No, friends, it's Hooterville! Our future under the conspiracy is a bad sitcom that never ends. Already, most cities are like something from a science fiction movie. An old science fiction movie. The further north you go in any city, the more it becomes like a Clockwork Orange. On the south sides, it's more like Blade Runner. Out in the sticks, Road Warrior. Hold on, Johnny, you've been reading too many comics. The mass media news, it's not even like science fiction anymore, but tacky surrealism. We're being adjusted to accept the idea that at any moment, anything can happen, including the unimaginable and the impossible, but mostly the unlikely. Once they've gotten you to believe one impossible thing, you can get yourself to believe damn near any impossible thing. So it's such as that it's all for your own good. Are you prepared to be really paranoid? A little pre-paranoia never hurt anybody. Don't worry about being called a kook. We used to call the John Birchers kooks. Them and all those other rabidly right-wing anti-communists, when they were hollering that the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations would take over the world. But, by gobs, they were right! The kooks were right! Totalitarian commies did take over the world, disguised as right-wing industrialists, disguised as Christians. We call the Christian kooks for worrying about the marks of the beast that the Antichrist would make everyone wear on their hand and forehead. Well, guess what, mocker? There is a mark of the beast on your hand and on your forehead. The one on your hand is your thumbprint, and thanks to face recognition software, the one on your head is your face. You don't need a barcode tattooed on your forehead. Your face is the mark of the beast. They have been scientifically perfecting their various contradictions for centuries. We're like some gland-downers, dumbassicated dogs. A well-trained that when one bargain basement Bin Laden drizzles stale pee on the shriveled little bush of our front yard, we all instinctively start howling and slubbering and peeing every bit of foliage for miles around while our owners laugh at us. Using television, they taught us a whole new language, whereby war in the Middle East really means 2-for-1 sale at Walmart. Even the tiniest, seemingly most insignificant details are set up to make less sense. Ever notice that everything in stores costs, say, $19.95 or $19.89, or instead of just a straight-up $20 when they can say only 69 cents, we both know that they're really just taking our perfectly good 70 cents and wrecked it. Bob prophesied. It's gonna be a bummer, man. Prophecy fulfilled! And so we're told about a new mutant disease every month. Jesus said you will hear of SARS and rumors of SARS. What nanobots lurk in the government? Smallpox shots. How much will we have to pay later to have them removed? Already the conspiracy has government pee inspectors analyzing your urine every time you flush, tracking you via your toilets so that, for instance, you can be sued retroactively for lying to the insurance company about your drug or vitamin use. The next stop, of course, will be identifying theft via urinary traces of your DNA and psychic stench. Every time you flush down an unapproved chemical, whether you peed it or not, you might as well be signing away your children to the slave camps of tomorrow. It's all become so dirty. The inevitable fad of reality TV finally came full circle with the ongoing Oil War miniseries, but it's all so sterile. One almost misses chilling with the Cold War, which was somehow cooler. But as long as they make you worry about how you smell, whether your shit stinks, if you're wearing the right deodorant, whether or not your stomach will get you through the day, the endless conveyor belt of cheap crap will distract you from real slack. Sometimes they want you to fight them, because that's an impossible battle that you can't win, leaving you exhausted and defenseless and in need of more cheap crap. Yes, it's all very paranoid-ing. It started with breathalyzer tests. Then they moved up to peealizers and votalizers, and now they even have a machine that can tell if you're thinking. It's called the TV. If it's off, you're guilty. It's said that less than 100 people control all the big corporations, armies, governments, and the mass media in the world, and that none of them are into Bob. Although it's less than 10 people, they all do know Bob. But you have never heard any of their names. If you know his name, he's not really one of the puppeteers. It's just one of the puppets. You never see the puppeteers. You can't follow the strings up that far. But if you could, it would be easy to cut them, because nowadays there are puppets that can work other puppets. And it's puppet working puppet up as far as they let you see. Even the puppets don't know where they are in the hierarchy. The only ones who aren't operating a marionette themselves knows exactly where they are. The bottom. And you, dear SubGeniUS reader, are probably not engaged in pulling anybody's strings right this minute. It's the economic Darwinism, survival of the richest. The decks are manufactured already stacked for the winners. The guys who put real evil in evolution. Talk about not wanting to make the waves. They have finally got things just the way they want them. The times they were a-changin', but that may end, now that the rich are firmly rich and the poor are securely poor. The conspiracy, as a whole, would benefit if all change were to stop. We must not let this stopping begin. We must spend our time getting slack, because time itself may be running out. Oil shortage? Water shortage? Air shortage? These are nothing compared to what the Khan would like to see, a you shortage. Because it's gradual, people don't even notice the world ending. When that day finally comes on, which everything locks up and freezes in place, those who have fallen into line as they were told will shuffle through the slaughterhouse door, from apathy into oblivion. Even if you survive, you'll find yourself worse than dead, in a world composed only of vacant, glad-handing geeks and vicious motorheads, and liking it. But for now, the high officers of the Fatherland Homestead Security Corporation have decreed that you are at the center of a conspiracy of slack. Are they right? The shakedown started long ago, but who will go into the dome and who will stay? Out is being decided today. When will the cultural gestalto ask you for your papers? Will you resist? You sure don't want to get caught resisting. They have this new drug called Camped X-ray. They give you, and that makes you think you've been held in prison for months without even being charged. And they have an even worse drug called false slack that makes you think you've been sitting in your house watching imaginary people's fake lives on TV for years and years instead of living a real life of your own. You can only see the retardation for what it is after you've removed yourself from it for a while. The less TV you watch, the more obvious is the brainwashing when you do watch it. The conspiracy knows you know this, so they pretend that they aren't even pretending it's not abysmally stupid. They crank out programming that is deliberately so dumb that you can't believe thinking, I can't believe how stupid this is, people watch this. This is so fantastically stupid that I could sit forever, here, transfixed, marveling at how stupid people must be to watch this. Those incredibly dumb shows are their way of openly, brazenly gloating at what cows we are. Break free of the Matrix, screams every cable TV sci-fi thriller. After these messages. Gil Scott Heron said, the revolution will not be televised. He was wrong. Not only was the revolution televised, but Nike sponsored it. Television, unfortunately, was not revolutionized, so the whole thing ended up as just another show. Friends, we SubGeniuses are proud to be called kooks by the rest of the media if that's what keeps us out of the same boat with them. And I am going to cut it at page 104. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more pages. It's a good book. The SubGenius Cyclopedia of Slack, the Bibliographon, New Revelations from J.R. Bob Dobbs, Church of the SubGenius, subgenius.com. Check it out.